Hey everybody, and welcome to our early comics review video. I'm Andy.
I'm Matt.
We're here with Infinity Flux Comics out of Chattanooga, Tennessee, and this is our big show where we show you some of the biggest and best books that are releasing this Wednesday. Woo! And let me tell you, there's some big ones.
There's a big week,
This
yeah,
is
for
a
sure.
big week.
I think I'm pretty sure this is the biggest week of the year so far.
Okay.
I know we're only like 5 or 6 weeks into the year, but I'm pretty sure that this is the biggest one yet.
We'll be tracking that, maybe.
Right.
Uh,
Doppler radar for
Yeah.
comics.
So go ahead and head on over to infinityflux.net right now. That way you can go ahead and order these books. They are live on there right now. So when they do officially come out on Wednesday, you don't have to worry about them selling out. They're already there. You've already bought yours, and they'll be on their way. If you don't live near here, or if you're local, it'll be waiting for you in your pull box. Either way, it's a win-win. But did I do all the introductions?
I think so.
Good.
Wait, did we say our names? I'm Matt. Yeah, we did.
Yep, we did that. Yep, we're good. Okay, so let's get into this week's worth of books.
Yeah, we are going to start with the big one, One World Under Doom #1, and this whole One World Under Doom event kicks off right here. This is written by Ryan North, who is doing a fantastic job on Fantastic Four, and the art is by R.B. Silva. And this issue right here is the one where Doctor Doom declares himself ruler of the world, basically, and he does that like on page 2. He is making this big worldwide broadcast to everybody saying that I'm the Sorcerer Supreme, I'm going to save the world, all of the world leaders have already sworn fealty to me, but that sounds awful, right? But then he starts to say,
here's what I'm going to implement.
Yeah, he said all of the nations of the world are now part of a unified Latveria. And that, like I said, that sounds pretty awful, right? But then he says, as a member of a unified Latveria, everybody is entitled to free healthcare, free education, and he says, I've also left all of the nation's leaders in place to govern as they would normally. Yeah. The only stipulation is that they have to carry out my orders of free healthcare and free education. But other than that, you know, it's all good. So now I'm thinking, actually, that kind of sounds pretty okay, you know?
Yeah, it's kind of like, well, now you're, under the Latverian, we're all together, and that's how I treat my people.
Yeah. Oh, and he does say that there's another rule that no nation is that all of the nations are not allowed to go to war with each other. So basically, world peace.
Yeah.
Right. So that sounds all right. Except the Earth's heroes don't think that sounds pretty good.
They're immediately like, "This is Doom."
Yeah.
Who's going to take the first swing at it?
Yeah, for sure. Well, yeah, you're right. And so they all gather together. We're talking Avengers, Fantastic Four, some other heroes. I don't remember the X-Men being part of that.
There.
But they all gather together thinking, obviously, he used magic or some kind of mind control to make all of the world leaders agree to all this. There must be something going on. Also, not only are they not cool with it, but Hydra is not cool with this either. And Baron Zemo makes apparently it's really easy to make worldwide broadcasts.
To hack it.
Because there's like 3 of them in this by 3 different characters. And Baron Zemo says, hey, worldwide broadcast. We're Hydra. We aren't led by anybody. We are going to take down Doom. We're gonna put a stop to this. And so Doom's got 2 groups of I don't want to say superheroes, but like 2 groups of people against him. All of that is just in the first half of the book, but I don't want to go any further than that because some crazy things happen near the end. There's some twists, some turns, and yeah, but the heroes just aren't convinced. They're like, he has got to have an ulterior motive. We have got to find out what that is. And I don't know. I mean, us as the readers, we also assume that there's an ulterior motive, right? But in the book itself, like it all sounds really good. Like Doom, actually Doom has some good ideas, So
yeah, and what's funny is by the end of this book, you'll kind of be like, oh, the Avengers, like, I don't really agree with what they're doing.
Yeah.
But Doom's doing all right.
Yeah.
Like it's a great first issue of like setting up a story where immediately you're kind of twisted around the way you think, and the characters you're used to rooting for, you're kind of like second guessing, like they might be going about this the wrong
Yeah.
way and
I
stuff.
mean, I did kind of think like, hey, Avengers, maybe take a seat because this sounds okay. You
Yeah.
know, I want to see where this goes.
And this has some great Doom dialogue
Yeah.
of him of like, you know, he doesn't come across evil. I mean, very like conceited and full of
Yeah.
himself, and he's got some of those like very big declarations. But it's really cool, and he's always a little one step ahead of
Oh yeah.
everybody. So
Yeah.
there's some great moments
Yeah.
where he's like, I kind of knew you would say that,
Yeah.
and here's what I have to say to that,
Yeah,
and that's great.
and the bit with Hydra going after him, that's a pretty important part too. But I definitely don't want to tell you what happens,
Yeah.
but that 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 plays a big part in solidifying this whole thing. So yeah, it's really cool. I mean, Marvel events are kind of hit or miss, and they usually feel a little bit long in the tooth with all the tie-ins and stuff. But I really, really liked this. I think it's wildly interesting that the Avengers and all the heroes, they're kind of the jerks in this,
Yeah.
like I just want to see. It'd be hilarious if the whole event happened and like, no, actually, he never had. No, there was never anything bad, you know.
I'm
Um,
wondering, what is something going to cause him? Does he already have a plan in place, or is there somebody who causes him to be like, fine, you want me to be a villain, I'll be a villain?
that would be pretty. That would be heartbreaking,
It would be
almost. Yeah,
heartbreaking, but I love about the story that I don't know where it's going.
yeah,
It doesn't really broadcast. Not to spoil anything, but there isn't like a last page like he pulls out a secret drawer and there's a document that says something evil
yeah,
on it. Like this does leave you, being like, I've got to read more of this to see like what really is
yeah.
the full plan here. And I think that's speaks to a great number one issue in a
Yep.
big event like
Yeah,
this.
I thought it was really, really good. Real quick, too, on last Friday, we talked about Fantastic Four number 30, and it had the cover where Ben Grimm was laying in the rocks that normally cover him, and we were like, well, maybe that happens in issue number 1. That does not happen in this. However, I think it happened. Whoop, that's on. Well, shoot, I don't.
I think it's on the inside
Yeah, I think
cover.
there's on. Well, darn it. Well, I'll find it in a minute. But you can see on the back covers of some of these Marvel books has the cover for issue number 2 of this, and I think that's where that happens. And issue number 2 comes out 1 week before
Okay.
Fantastic Four number, I believe it was number 30. So I just wanted to bring that up because we speculated on that on Friday, and now we know a little bit more. But yes, I really was into this. I love Doctor Doom. He's my favorite villain, and he's got some pretty good ideas that maybe the hero should just like step back and see how it all plays out. So I can't wait to see what happens if there really is an ulterior motive. If so, what it is.
I'm really interested to read the Fantastic Four when like during this time, because you don't get a whole lot of like what their perspective.
Yeah,
But I would love to get inside like Reed Richards' head about
yeah,
like, what do you think? You may be the one who's closest to
yeah.
him.
It would be, and yeah, it would be heartbreaking too. I think if the Avengers and all the heroes did eventually take him down, but there was never anything wrong. So it's like, thanks, heroes, you just screwed us out of healthcare and education. So yeah, really interesting. I cannot wait to see where this goes. So we have our A cover right here. We have our Rose Besh variant, which looks really good with a nice image of Doom there. This is a Mike Mignola variant. Looks really cool. We have this RB Silva variant. That's your interior artist right there. So the interior of the book looks like that. John Tyler Christopher doing some more negative space variants. And I love this one. This Clayton Crane variant. It looks so cool. And we have a one in shoot. I don't know what ratio this is, but we're selling it for $12.99 from Nick Bradshaw. But I'm not sure. I think maybe that's a 1 in 25 or a 1 in 10. I'm not
Yeah,
sure.
something around there.
Yeah, very cool. I was into it.
Yeah,
thought it was great.
Off to a good start.
Off to a good start. Yeah.
Okay, well, next up, talk about off to a good start. Bug Wars.
Yeah.
Number 1. So this is a new book from Image. This was really like hyped going into it. There's a lot of people's like on their list of most anticipated books. It was on ours, and we actually got a chance to read the first 2 issues of this quite a while ago. I want to say a month or 2 ago.
Been at least a month. Yeah.
Yeah, so we've read the first 2 issues of it, and I'm so glad that people can finally check this out. So this is by Jason Aaron, and the art is by Mahmoud Asrar, and that was your original creative team back when Marvel got Conan back, when they launched Conan the Barbarian #1. That was your creative team on there, which they were so great together. That fantastic. And that leads to the best way to describe this is Conan the Barbarian meets Honey I Shrunk the Kids.
Yes, definitely.
Which sounds it's an oversimplification of what this story is. So I don't want to give away everything, but you do need to know the kind of the setup for this. So there is a family, and they are moving back into a home they haven't been in since. I think there's two kids, right?
There's two sons.
There's
Yeah.
like an older son and a
Yeah.
younger son. And they're moving back into a house that the younger son like doesn't even remember too much. He's got pretty good memories of it. The older son doesn't have as great of memories because this is a house his dad died in. And I guess it was just like they had the house paid off. They just kind of moved away from
Yeah,
it
I
for a
guess so.
while. It kind of became overgrown, but they've decided to move back into it. And it's interesting because the dad was a
Entomologist, yep.
entomologist. The younger son is really into bugs and everything. And the older son absolutely hates them.
And that's the younger son right there.
Yeah, you will learn why. But little do they know, in their backyard is a giant fantasy like world uh, under the microscope because there is a war going on between the beetles and the ants. But what's interesting is it's not the actual like it's not a beetle bug fighting an ant.
Yeah. Well, there is. I mean,
there is, but they're not they're more like the mounts.
Yeah.
Because there are these creatures called mites, and they are what you see on the cover. They are like barbarian warriors, or the ants have very like regal armor, the ant mites and stuff. And it is like a whole fantasy type world.
Yeah, and they're humanoid warriors, but they're like they have green skin, but it looks just like a Conan book with two factions warring with each other, and they're using the ants, like you said, as mounts, as soldiers, things like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're humanoid soldiers, but they're itty bitty in the backyard.
Yeah, and they've got like the ant hills like have specific names. It's like, oh, we heard one over here got attacked.
Yeah.
And they kind of have this lore around the different parts of the yard, and that's where certain types of mites hang out. They're kind of associated with certain kinds of bugs. And I don't know, it's really cool. It is definitely kind of adult like Conan, like
it's violent.
It's violent.
Yeah.
There's some other bits that are seen in it. But what happens when one of the kids gets shrunk down somehow and enters this world and this war between the mites? What does it have to do with his father and everything that went on with that? Yeah, it's an awesome setup for a book that is, if you like books like Conan and I don't know, other like kind of high fantasy, because the ant ones kind of look like almost like elvish, like they're a little taller and skinnier. But the beetle barbarians are definitely like barbarians, but they kind of got like greenish skin. And there is hints at some of the other creatures, the other kinds that are really fun. They've got very like fantasy names for them, but you can tell what they are.
And in issue number 2, we do see a couple of other races.
Yeah.
And issue number 2 really helps to sell the idea that this is a sword and sorcery fantasy book, but it's all taking place in the backyard, but everybody's just that big,
Yeah. Let's just say you've got this world in your backyard, but you do stuff in the backyard.
Yep.
That's kind of spoken of in mythical proportions.
Right.
What happens if you mowed your backyard? How would that affect this land? All that is kind of answered in this. But there is more. It's not just like a science experiment gone wrong. There's more to it than that. And there's a little bit of like the atom or Ant-Man physics that go into this. Like, what if you're a shrunk, but do you have the proportional strength? That kind of thing is all addressed in here. I believe is it a double-sized issue?
I think it's like 30 something pages, maybe 33 pages.
It is thicker and everything, which is really cool. But
that's 33 pages because the one we read, the digital copy, it was 33 pages, and obviously that doesn't have ads, so with ads and stuff.
But this one also, what the digital one didn't have is some back matter.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Yeah, is some of someone's notes about everything going on. There's a map of the backyard, with
Oh, I
all the
need to see that
places
then.
named.
Yeah.
And there's also some notes about like the different colonies and what does the drones do and what do these do,
Oh,
and
okay.
kind of more like appendices to this world.
Well, then with all that stuff, it's definitely more than 33 pages
So I
because it's
bet
33 pages of just of story, and
yeah,
then all that extra stuff.
it
Yeah,
probably does clock in close to
yeah.
48 pages,
Oh,
something
that's
like that.
awesome.
Which I didn't get a chance to read all of the back stuff,
Yeah,
but I did look over the map, which is really cool, which is so classic fantasy novel to have
yeah,
a map with these grandiose names for things and being like, oh, what adventure is going on over there?
yeah,
I think this is going to be 5 issues,
yeah. I'm not sure.
but I think there are plans to do more. That's just kind of the first, kind of trade full story.
Yeah,
But definitely with this, they have built a world that I want to see all of. So yeah, just super cool,
yeah.
very fantasy.
The artwork's great.
Artwork is
Hmm.
fantastic. The designs are so cool. Epic battles. You see like a dead beetle in the background, but it's like the size of an elephant, like on
Yeah,
its back.
yeah.
Just so cool. So we do have our A cover right here by your interior artist, and that's what the interior looks like. We also have a Peach Momoko variant, which I'm trying to remember. You don't see this character in the first issue, but
I
they
think.
might be in the
Yeah,
second
I think
issue.
she's in the second issue. Yeah.
This was, I think it's the like blank sketch cover, but if you look, you got you got your little main character down
I
there.
love the family's name is Slaymaker.
It is.
SLAY
Yeah, his
Maker,
name
and his name is
is
Slade.
Slade
So his
Slaymaker.
name is Slade Slaymaker. That's, I mean, if that's not a fantasy name right there. But he's not a barbarian. He's a kid, right? But his name is Slade Slaymaker, and he's
Yeah.
in this fantasy world. It's hilarious.
We also have some incentives. So this is the 1 in 25 Pepe Larraz variant,
Ooh,
which I mean that scene does happen, like right at the beginning, and it
yeah.
is awesome. And then we also have a 1 in 50 Bergara variant. We're selling for $75.
Yeah, great book. I really enjoyed that one.
One of my picks of the week. I've got
Yeah,
a couple, but
yeah.
that's definitely one of them.
All right, so next up, I've got Absolute Batman #5, and this is the next to last issue of this first story arc called The Zoo. Not the next to last issue of the series, it's an ongoing series, but this story arc wraps up in issue #6 next month. But this issue actually picks up where issue #3 left off, because if you remember, #4 was kind of sort of like Absolute Batman Year One, so it was a little bit of an interlude. Well, this resumes the main story. At the end of last issue, Black Mask offered Batman $200 million to just stay out of the way of the party animals. It's like, sit back and chill. And the only problem is I can't tell you whether he accepted or not because the rest of the book hinges on that, and I don't want to spoil the rest of the book for you. So I just wanted to let you know. I mean, I really, is there anything we can say that's not spoilerific? I mean,
There is a lot of action in
yeah,
it.
there's some great fight scenes. The way that the book ends makes me think that the stuff is going to hit the fan next issue, and rightly so because it is the last issue of the story, the first story
In
arc.
some of the action scenes, you do see his suit
Yeah.
do stuff we haven't really seen. You could kind of guess,
Uh huh.
but to see it in action, like he has those spikes on his shoulders that some of
For
the covers have, and it's pretty
Yeah, and they're
brutal.
there for a reason.
Yeah, but that's really cool.
I'll tell you, we do see the return of the Bat Axe.
Yes, Return of the Bat Axe,
Yeah.
and there's some really interesting stuff in the past between Bruce and Gordon,
Yeah.
and you realize like what their relationship is kind of currently and how it's evolved over
Yeah.
time from the time when he was a kid and his dad died at the zoo and all of that. The flashbacks I think are really
Yeah.
interesting in this.
But I don't want to say, and he took the deal or he didn't take the deal because, like I said, I just don't want to spoil it because there's a lot of really cool moments in
Yeah,
this that you need to experience. Like you turn the page, it's like, whoa. So there's one thing in particular that's big and awesome, and you really need to see it for yourself. So I'm actually going to just not say anything else other than the next issue is out. It's awesome, great action. As probably action like we saw in the first couple issues,
yeah.
really. And it's cool, and I can't wait to see how this story wraps up in the next one. Yeah, so that's it. I mean, just don't miss it. If you've been enjoying Absolute Batman, you're gonna love this. It's every bit as good as every other issue. So there's our A cover right there, and we got some cool variants. This is that's a yeah Clayman variant. We have this Ian Bertram variant. This is Sean Gordon Murphy. No, Joel Jones. Wow, that looks like Sean Gordon Murphy.
I know that mouth.
Yeah, but no, this is Joel Jones. We have a 1 in 25 Nicholas Draper Ivy variant. We're selling that one for $14.99. And then we have a 1 in 50 Clayman Virgin variant that we're selling for $39.99. So yeah, sorry to not go into more detail about it, but trust me, when you
You'll
read
thank
it,
us.
you'll thank us when you turn the page. You're like, holy cow, I didn't know that was going to happen.
Yeah. More more cool bat lore is
Yeah.
kind of filled in this, and I am really interested to read the next issue because I mean the story they've set up and this Batman and everything
Mhm.
is really pretty unpredictable
Yeah.
the way it goes.
Yeah.
So I'll be interested to see kind of how they cap off the first story arc of
Yeah.
that. Well, next up, I've got to talk about Aquaman #2. As always, my favorite superhero, and I am so glad he's got a solid quality
Yeah.
book because issue #2 is every bit as good as #1 and gets even crazier. So, in the first issue, we saw, Aquaman kind of back on the throne, all of that. But something happened and Atlantis disappeared. Where did it go and where did it take everybody who was in it? Plus, Aquaman found, along with Batman and Wonder Woman, a strange portal in the ocean they were getting weird readings from. He goes through it only to find out it was a giant Omega symbol. Is it related to Darkseid? I don't know.
Don't know. And actually, we're not being facetious. We really kind of don't
We
know.
don't know.
Yeah.
It's even kind of Aquaman even makes a mention in this of
Yeah.
like that's that's a symbol I recognize. I can't get to that right now.
Right. Right.
But where did that portal take Aquaman? Well, I don't want to give away too many details about either where I think it is, but he does kind of wake up in a very kind of world between worlds. It's not like a void. It is like a place and with greenery and
Yeah.
and ground and all of that, but you can tell it is very alien. Now I don't even know if we fully know where we are in this.
I didn't know where it was. I don't know if they're on Earth. Is it another planet? Is
Yeah.
it another dimension? Is it beneath the Earth? Like I have no idea where they are.
Yeah.
And I don't think we're supposed to
I
know.
don't think we're supposed to know, but as Aquaman's trying to figure out his bearings, he is attacked by some very interesting monsters and some little creatures because the last place I saw these creatures was in the Witcher game.
Okay.
So this is pulling some kind of very fantasy elements, and I would describe this issue as very Conan and Witcher feeling in the way that it's kind of a dark fantasy
Yeah.
a little bit. Um, but some great action. I do want to say that Aquaman, he can now control water, but water is in a lot of things,
Yep.
including mud. What can Aquaman do with a pile of mud? Some pretty awesome
Some pretty cool stuff. Yeah.
But Arthur does get taken, and we meet a very fantasy, another folklore type character that I don't want to get into too much detail, but I don't know what to say about that. It's really cool. Um,
There's mentions in this of the blue.
yeah,
We have the green and we have the red, but now the blue is this new concept, and there's mentions of that in here. So I look forward to seeing that become a thing in DC,
Yeah.
just like the green and the
I'm
red
not gonna
are.
give a play by play to what happens, but Aquaman's definitely like, on his back foot when this being that he goes up against. There is another character that kind of enters the fold that
Mhm.
we do learn who they are, and that's really cool.
Yep.
A lot of mystery is set up. There is also a prophecy that it seems like is being fulfilled in this, but what does it mean? The last line in the book made me go, hold on, does this have to do with some of the other big stuff going on?
Hmm.
Does this have to do with the
Right.
bigger DC universe story that's going on?
Or is it just a clever play on words? I don't know.
I don't know, but I mean, this is awesome. This is
Yeah.
a great issue. This is taking Aquaman in places that I think are fresh. I've read near almost every Aquaman thing that's ever come out, and I'll say this feels different, but in a really good way.
Yeah.
I've seen plenty of stuff of Aquaman, under the water. There's a weird race of creatures that comes out of nowhere. The stuff with the trench or Sub Diego or all that kind of stuff. This is something that I think is feels like a progression for the character in
Hmm.
a way I really really like. So all that being said, highly recommend Aquaman issue number 2. Can't wait. Like this one, maybe like I need the next issue because a lot of stuff was
Yeah.
just kind of dropped on your
Yeah.
lap in the end of this one.
Yeah.
Uh,
Aquaman is not a joke. I mean,
no,
Aquaman is a badass in this. I mean, for
yeah,
sure.
he also uses something else, water related, but is way more metal.
Yeah.
When he does in
Yeah.
here, that is pretty
Yeah.
insane.
Very, very awesome. Artwork's great. I
Yeah.
mean, yeah.
So there is your A cover. He doesn't actually go up against a giant water kaiju in this one, but he goes up against plenty other scary
Hmm.
stuff. We also have this. This is the Lucas Meyer variant, which I believe I got this one as well. Just very classic Aquaman. We have this Tula Lotay variant with a Mera. We have a Mariko Tamaki, to Marcio Takara variant with Mera. And another Mera, we have a Salvador LaRocca 1 in 25 that we're selling for $18.99.
All right. Well, next up, I've got Eddie Brock Carnage #1. This is written by Charles Soule and the artist by Jesus Saiz. And if you read the Venom War, you know that at the end of it, Eddie Brock bonded with the Carnage symbiote, which is pretty crazy. And
Which I didn't read, but it was kind of like a survival method for both of them.
I honestly don't remember.
I thought they mentioned something like they kind of had to
Yeah, there
live.
was a reason they did it, but I couldn't tell you. I don't remember. If you know, leave a note in the comments. Let us know why. But at the beginning of this issue, Eddie Brock is on an airplane, and he's looking for a serial killer known as the Hopscotch Killer. And they're called that because of the trail of bodies that they have been leaving across the country, and because they have this like checkerboard pattern carved into them. And Eddie has been researching this killer for a while, and is determined that they must be a frequent flyer because the bodies are, in one city, then another city, then another. At one point, they thought maybe it was a trucker, but there were two bodies found almost at the same time. There was a reason it wasn't a
Yeah.
trucker. Like they couldn't be. That would have been impossible if it was a trucker. Something about that. And so he's narrowed it down. It's like it has to be a frequent flyer, and they have narrowed it down that it is somebody on that plane that he's on specifically. So it's some really cool visuals. He uses the Carnage symbiote to kind of like snake into everybody's ear and like almost read their minds to
Yeah.
try to find out who this killer is. And so that may sound like, oh wow, so Carnage is a good guy now, I guess. No, Carnage isn't doing this out of the goodness of his little alien symbiote heart. Carnage is just excited for the opportunity to kill somebody.
Yeah.
That's why Carnage is even agreeing to any of this in the first place. They have a very tenuous relationship. They're bonded together, but they do not see eye to eye. They have much different goals. So the first half of the issue is this sequence on the airplane. There's some really cool visuals. They're trying to figure out who this killer is. And I won't tell you obviously how that all shakes out. But the back half of the issue is Eddie and the Carnage symbiote having a conversation with each other, and the visuals are like, oh, let's go in their mind.
Yeah,
and it looks like
standing talking to each
yeah,
other.
so it looks like they're standing there talking to each other. The symbiote's even wearing like a hat and a suit,
Mhm.
but it's all just like it's all within the mind. And they, like I said, they're bonded together, but they have very different goals. Eddie Brock is like, I know you're terrible, but we're in this situation. As long as we're in this situation, I'm going to use your abilities to do good and to help people. And Carnage basically has the attitude of, it's hilarious that you think you have a choice in that matter.
Yeah.
You know, it's hilarious that you think you're in control of this. So yeah, they're not pals whatsoever. And that's what I think is really interesting is that Eddie, you know, because when I first saw this, I was like, oh, the Carnage symbiote corrupted Eddie, and now he's the new bad guy Carnage.
Yeah.
But that's not the case at all. Eddie still wants to do good, the good things that he was doing as Venom. He still wants to be the lethal protector, basically. But the Carnage symbiote that he's bonded to still wants to be the, you know, psychotic killer that it was. And how are they going to, you know, be bonded together when they have
Yeah, that's
different...
the most interesting part
Yeah.
about it, because Carnage is a fine character, but it's a little of a hat on a hat. It's like, it's a serial killer bonded with a serial
Yeah,
killer.
right.
It's like, okay, I get what their motivation's going to be, but this
Yeah.
is a little bit more of like, who's holding the leash?
Yeah.
Who has the ability to pull the other one way or the
Yeah.
other? I thought that was really interesting.
Yeah.
And also, I don't know if you have a note on it, but we talked about this off the show of this is way more violent than any Red Band book.
Right, right. Yeah, I was reading it and I text Andy a picture. I was like, they put this in the book. It's not even a red band. So yeah, that the red band thing, I don't get it. This, by all intents and purposes, could have been a
There's
red
a
band.
one-page spread
Yeah.
that was
worse than anything in. I can tell you, worse than anything in the Elektra or the Daredevil Elektra red
Yeah.
band book that's going on. The one-page splash in here is worse than anything in that book. So I don't know how they're picking and choosing these red band books.
It's I don't know. It could also be that Jesus says art style is a little bit more realistic, so the viscera is quite a bit more
Yeah.
disturbing in this than kind of cartoony. So yeah, this does have like a parental advisory
Oh,
little
does it?
tiny thing.
Oh,
Yeah,
I didn't see
above
that.
the
Oh yeah, look at that.
but it's leaps and bounds above
Yeah.
the majority of your Red
Yeah.
Band books. So, but as I feel like a Carnage book probably should be.
Yeah, right.
He's
Yeah.
not really a
You
fun
can't
all ages character.
You can't have a PG-13 Carnage book. Yeah.
No.
So I've said before that I'm kind of a little bit worn down on all the symbiote stuff going on in Marvel, but this was so much better than I thought it would be, and it's not like mired in symbiote hive minds and king and blacks. No, it's nothing like that. It's much more grounded. And it's not really concerned with anything else going on in the Marvel universe. It's its own thing. There's no like big weird alien space god stuff. None of that stuff. It's just Eddie and the Carnage symbiote trying to coexist, I guess. Yeah, really, really good. I was pleasantly surprised.
I don't fully know what the full story of this is
Right.
going to be yet, but I thought this was a good introductory issue to the tone of the book.
Yeah, for sure. So this is our A cover right here, and we
Great
have
variant.
Yeah, this is the Humberto Ramos variant, and this is a wraparound, which not much on the back, but I'm not really sure why that's a wraparound. Yeah, so that's Humberto Ramos.
Venom had a Ramos wraparound too, so it
yeah.
makes sense.
Right. We have the Christia Russo cover, which I love how all of he's been doing the series where his covers mirror the A cover. I love that so much. And this is the Alessandro Cappuccio. So that is your former Moon Knight artist, now currently artist on Ultimate Wolverine.
Yep.
So that looks really cool. And we have this. Shoot, I don't have the ratio on this one either. But this, and I don't know who the artist is. Andre somebody. But yeah, we're selling this one for $14.99. It's probably a 1 in 10, I'd say, or maybe a 1 in 25. Probably a 1 in 10. Yeah.
Well, next up, I've got a new Star Wars book from Dark Horse. This is Star Wars Hyperspace Stories: The Bad Batch Ghost Agents #1. This is really exciting because this is the first kind of official Bad Batch story we are getting that is not part of the Clone Wars animated series or the Bad Batch series. This is kind of our first branching out of that into other media. We know we are getting a novel, I believe, next year. Late this year or next year.
It's a pretty novel idea.
Yeah. The Bad Batch are such great characters and such fan favorites. I think the Bad Batch series is maybe it's up there as the best like Disney show, Star Wars show. It was just fantastic, all the seasons of it. But so this is really cool to get. So this is by Michael Morrissey with art by Reese Hannigan. And I've got to shout out the letters on this. Lettering is by Tyler Smith and Bobby Bradford, both very good friends of mine. Tyler, as I've mentioned before, got me into comics
Yeah.
back during Black. Every time I talk about Blackest Night, he's the one who did that. He worked at a comic book store. I ended up taking his job there, and then Bobby Bradford. I went to college with,
Nice.
and we hung out all the time. And he taught me about Invincible, which is now my favorite series. So
Nice.
big shout outs to both of
The
them.
circle of life.
Yeah, it also helps that they're cousins.
Oh, nice.
Want to shout out them. The lettering is fantastic in here. But this story is set during the Clone Wars, so this is the earliest of the Bad Batch that we have seen, even before their appearance in the last season of Clone Wars. This is during kind of the main hub of the Clone Wars proper, of the Republic versus the Separatists. And in this, we do see like a little cold open of them on a mission that's really fun. But after that, they get called in by Mace Windu, who tells them, um, "Hey, we have some agents that do some kind of espionage work." And the Bad Batch, I don't remember which one says it, but they're like, "Oh, like spies," and they're like, "We don't like to say spies. We call them ghost agents." And it's like, okay, sure, however you want to like sugarcoat it, we know that you're also doing spy work. Um, but Mace tells them this is super confidential, but we have a list of them, and that list has been stolen, and we can't let this fall into separatist hands. But we know whoever stole it couldn't get off of Coruscant. Something happened to their ship. They're still on the planet somewhere, and we need you as kind of the best tactical team to go in and find who they are and retrieve this. And so most of this issue is the Bad Batch kind of in civilian wear, which is really cool. People still know they're clones, kind of if they stop and look at them long enough. And there's a lot of hatred towards the clones, especially in the undercity of Coruscant. But they go down there into some shady bars to question people and find out. That this is going to be a 5-issue miniseries, so you're going. This is a bigger story, but there are some kind of cameos that pop up in this by other, especially one big Clone Wars the series character that's very very cool. And yeah, I'm excited to see where this goes. But a lot of fun action, and it's great to see and read the Bad Batch in a comic series. So very excited to see where this goes. I personally know so many people working on this, and I'm so happy. It's so great. Can't wait to see what's coming. And yes, I did ask to do a variant for this, but all the slots were filled.
Ah,
But I hope to work on this in the future.
do they not know who you are?
I, I think someone should tell them.
That's right.
But
Everybody send Dark Horse a note, an email.
that says you want to see me draw
Yeah.
the Bad Batch. But no, everyone who worked on this is great. I am so excited for it. So there is your A cover, and we have this really awesome uh, Carlo Magno variant. And it's cool because Crosshair's in this, and if you watch the series, you know Crosshair pretty early on kind of leaves the team and kind of becomes an enemy, but you're seeing him work within the team in this, which we didn't get a whole lot of, which is really cool. There's no Omega in here because this is way before that storyline started. But yeah, really, really cool book.
Nice. Well, I've got a cool book. This is Green Lantern Corps #1. This is from Morgan Hampton and Jeremy Adams. They're the writers, and then Fernando Pasarin is the artist. And after everything that has happened in the Green Lantern and the Green Lantern War Journal books over the last couple of years, the Green Lantern Corps is finally back. And it's not the knockoff, it's not the Wish.com Green Lantern Corps that belonged to the United Planets for a while. This is the legit Green Lantern Corps. And this issue starts with a bang. John Stewart and a few other members of the Green Lantern Corps, they stop a villain named Kanjar Row, classic villain. He has been trafficking alien children across the galaxy, and of course, the Green Lantern Corps, they're back to being space cops, policing the galaxy, taking down bad guys, and that's what they do at the very beginning. And then afterwards, they go back to Oa, which has been revitalized because they now have the new Green Lantern power battery.
The one they moved from Earth.
That's right.
Yeah.
That same one. So Oa is back up in operation now. And Jessica Cruz is now the captain of the Green Lantern Corps because, again, the Guardians are there, but they are more acting as advisors rather than like leaders directing the Green Lantern. It really is like a police force now with captains, and she's Jessica Cruz. She's kind of sending everybody on assignments and stuff. The Guardians are there, but they're just advisors. And she tells Jon Stewart that he needs to head off to Tamaran to deal with an outburst of fear energy there. And what she means by that is all of the other power batteries, and again, this is like happened over the last couple of years, all of the other power batteries, green, blue, yellow, all those, they have been destroyed. And that was part of the guy Theros who was running the United Planets, and that was part of his scheme. So because all of those other power batteries have been destroyed, the emotional spectrum has been kind of fractured. And what that means is that it's not just people who wield power rings that can wield this emotional power now. Anybody potentially
Mhm.
could, if they exhibit a big enough outburst of whatever type of energy, fear or hope or greed. We've only seen fear so far,
Green,
or greed.
that classic feeling of green.
No, well, greed.
Oh,
Like
I thought you
orange.
said
No, green.
green.
No.
I'm green.
I'm feeling green. But it's not easy being green. But so anybody who experiences a huge outburst of one of those emotions may like exhibit uh green, well, not green, but may exhibit energy, like not that they can control it and everything, but so they have to go to Tamaran to deal with somebody there who has exhibited great fear, and there's this like outpouring of fear energy, and it's causing problems there. So Jon Stewart heads off, but he goes there with another character who I'm not going to tell you who it is, but it is so cool to see them in this book on the Green Lantern Corps, and I can't wait to see more of them in this series. And that's where I'm going to leave it there. They head off to Tamaran. They do whatever they have to do there, and we'll see where it goes after that. But it's just really cool to see the Green Lantern Corps back. We get a little bit of Guy Gardner in this. Kyle Rayner pops up just is one or two panels, but he's over in the other Green Lantern book. He's hanging out with Hal Jordan right now as they go to track down the Sorrow Lantern. There is a little bit of connective tissue between this and the other Green Lantern book because they do mention the Sorrow Lantern, how he is trying to build his own power battery and how that's a bad thing. But I think that's going to be more in the Hal Jordan Green Lantern book, and then this one is going to be telling their own story. But it does kind of remind me, it's sort of, it's too early to tell, but this does feel like a return to greatness that Green Lantern had before the New 52, where you had Hal Jordan's book, you had the Green Lantern Corps with all the other Earth Lanterns and others as well.
Yeah.
And it's just good to have all the Green Lanterns back. So can't wait to see, more of this. Maybe one day all of the other power batteries will get restored, but for now it's just the Green Lanterns. It's really cool. So we have the A cover right here, and we have this. I don't have the ratio on this. Probably a 1 in 10. This is
Yeah.
from Gavin Guidry, and we're selling this one for $9.99. I love that cover.
It's so good because there's so many great Green Lanterns.
Yeah.
Like that's why the Green Lantern Corps book exists.
Yep.
Is to make sure everyone gets kind of a moment.
Yeah. And it's cool because they are truly working together. There's no bickering. I want to be the leader. I want to do this. No, they're a unit, and they are policing the galaxy. It's great.
So next up, I've got another new book from Image. This is The Hive #1, and this one I remember when we were talking about on our like order show,
Yeah,
where
Comics from the Future.
from Comics from the Future, where I wasn't 100% sure about the story of this because there's not a whole lot of information other than kind of a few little hints here and there. But this was really cool. So this is written by AJ Lieberman and the art is by Mike Henderson, which I love. Mike Henderson. He's also the artist on Cable right now. And
Oh, yeah.
My biggest thing is from Nailbiter, which is one of my favorite
love
Image
Nailbiter.
books. So this is a very mature neo-noir crime book. In this, we learn that there is an organization called the Hive, and this is all very B-related in tone. It's run by a queen, and you see quite a bit of her in this. As she seems like a very powerful person that you don't want to mess with. Uh, and then the Hive is made up of kind of criminal underlings. Seems like there is some hierarchy to this other than just the queen, but we don't get a whole lot of names for like who's in charge of what and everything.
It sounds a little bit like John Wick and how there was this whole like assassin society with their own set of rules. It sounds kind of like that.
Yeah, and we hear some kind of talk between the queen and some other kind of underlings who seem to be above, your average small town criminal about what they're, oh, we're going to be in this organization and we're going to have a finger in this organization. We don't really know what kind of crime they're into. It's just kind of this money making organization. Um, but the weird thing about it is some of the people within the hive have a ability to connect with others like a hive mind and kind of influence them.
Mm.
And it's not a drug, it's not anything like this. It is a biological thing that they can do. It's almost a little like psychic
Yeah.
ESP type thing. But it's subtle persuasion that really helps them be this big crime organization and to work together. We see a couple of different. We see what's going on with the queen in this, as her, she's being the power over all of this. We also see some other of the underlings who are just like they regular criminals, but you're wondering, are they trying to do something that the queen wouldn't approve of? Are they trying to maybe start their own like splinter group
Mm.
from the main hive? And then we're introduced to a guy. I didn't write down his name, but he is a um, definitely a criminal from the past, or maybe a cop that isn't a cop anymore because of something he did, but he definitely lives a very kind of dirty, rough lifestyle. But he seems like maybe he's going to be recruited into the hive. We're going to see his perspective on all of that. So this is a kind of a spicy, dirty, and fun crime book with a fun twist of this kind of bee related iconography and everything that's everywhere. But yeah, not for kids for sure, but really fun, and I'm looking forward to seeing where it goes after this. So that is your A cover. And the other one we have is a 1 in 15 version of the A cover,
Oh.
but with some B coloring that we're selling for $14.99.
Well, next I have the Lucky Devils #2, and this is every bit as good as the first one. Yeah, actually, even better because the Devils enact their plan in this one. So the beginning of this issue introduces us to a new devil named Onion Screw, spelled just the way it sounds, Onion Screw. He is a 6Z devil, which means that he is much higher up on the societal ladder in the devil society than Collar and Rake, who are our main two devils here. They're only level 2Z. And their whole goal is they want to work up that ladder, and that's why they're trying to influence their humans in the first place. So Onion Screw is on a cruise ship with a bunch of other lower level devils. He's giving a type of motivational speech and encouraging them to work harder on corrupting their humans so that they can move up the ladder too. And then the rest of the issue is spent with Collar and Rake as they are trying to influence Cam and Star, who are our human characters. Collar is the devil assigned to Cameron. Rake is the devil assigned to Star. They are trying to influence their humans to move up their ranks in their own jobs on Earth, in the real world. And they both have reasons why that's not possible. Well, there's no more openings. There's no managerial position, or they're all filled, something like that. There's reasons why it's not possible. So Collar and Rake each come up with a plan to actually make that happen. But one of the rules in this story is that devils are not allowed to influence humans that they're not assigned to. So it's really cool. They have to be more indirect about their plan. So it's almost like a domino effect. A Collar even mentions that we're going to do this, which then makes this happen, and then this person gets mad, and then they get fired from their job or whatever. So they have to be really crafty about this plan that they're enacting. And I won't tell you how it all shakes out, but the Devils, Collar and Rake, they have a goal. They want to move their own people up in the world so that they can move up in the world. It's really neat. So another really fun issue. And it's cool because Collar and Rake, they are literal devils, right? And they're only doing all of this to improve their own standing in hell, right? But they are still pretty likable. They're fun and they're not like evil. I mean, there is one, caller's like, "You want me to stab this guy in the neck? Are you sure?" But they're still cutesy, they're still
Mm.
funny, so it's a very unique book. And there's one panel too where if you look in the background, there's a reference to 8 billion genies and also curse words, a little
Aw.
koala. It's on a screen like in the background, so it's like a video game or something. That was a cool little touch too. But yeah, just I really like this. If you liked 8 billion genies, you will definitely like this. It's the same kind of flavor, and I really like it. So there's our A cover right there, and we have this Heron variant also.
Next up, I have a very interesting one shot. This is Cam Girl number one, of course, of one. I always get kind of stuck with these books that are very hard to talk about, but are actually really good. So this is by Sarah H. Cho, and the art is by C.P. Smith. And for you could get a misinformed idea if you just saw the cover of this
Mhm.
about what it's about. This is a really deep and interesting story. So this is about a character on the cover here. Her name is Danny, but she has an online persona, kind of her cam girl persona, named Kyoko. And what's interesting about this is her she does this name because that's what people want from her. She's Asian, but people want a Japanese or Chinese girl, and they don't want what she is, which is Korean. They want this persona of kind of this meek, kind of almost anime girl
Yeah.
or everything. And that's a big thing. This does have a really cool thing in the end where the writer talks about this real kind of thing that happens on online about all of this. But this story is mostly a thriller because this character Danny has a lot of fans. She's not like huge. She's not making like tens of thousands of dollars, but she's doing enough to live. But you can tell her life is not like great. She mostly like parties her money away and
Oh
that
yeah.
kind of stuff. But she has a boyfriend and she has one really good friend that they all go out and hang out and stuff. But her fans, as you can imagine, as online fans are very uh kind of addicted to her. And she gets creepy messages. That's to be expected, but some start getting creepier and creepier until one specific person starts taking it too far, and suddenly they actually know her real name and they know where she lives and
Mm.
all of that, and start getting a little too much into her personal business. And she writes it off at first of like, this is gonna happen. It's okay. Her friends are telling her, maybe it's not so okay, until she even starts getting pictures of her like getting on the subway. This person sends her. Clearly, they are just feet away, but she can't figure out who it is. And this gets more and more intense, and to the point of like fearing for her life and on the run and all that kind of stuff. So that part's really cool. But this is, at its core, a story of a strong woman who went through something catastrophic that kind of led her to this place. And in the midst of rebuilding her life and her sense of self and identity and all of that, but with this like really scary thriller thing thrown on top of it. And it's all done in one book. It has a really cool finale where it ties it up really well. Just a really fun, very scary book. But I would also recommend, if you get it, read the end of it where the writer talks about how much of this is based on her own
Yeah.
life and real experiences and all that kind of stuff. So
Reminds me of Lovesick, the way I don't remember the creator's name, but how they talk about how they researched
yeah,
the dark web and all that stuff, and they talk. I mean, it's kind of the same
yeah,
thing.
that you can tell this comes from a very personal place and a very honest place that is really really cool. So highly recommend. Not for children, but I would say the like the Hive is maybe more adult than this book
Mm.
is. This is mostly like also a little crime noir feeling. But there is your A cover, and we also have a Tula Lote variant as well.
All right, I've got all new Venom number 3, and this issue picks up right where the last one left off with Venom fighting Chance and the AIM operatives in that warehouse. And it's a really cool fight. It goes on for several pages. The artwork and the action is awesome. Until this sonic weapon causes all the windows in the warehouse to get blown out. And Dylan Brock is outside watching this, and he gets cut pretty bad. He gets hurt, and Venom, the symbiote, sees this, becomes enraged, and then quickly takes everybody down. And then we see Dylan confronting Venom, and really he's talking to the symbiote because he doesn't know who is inside the symbiote. But he's talking to the symbiote. Hey, why did you leave me? That kind of thing. And the symbiote tells him, "Well, it was for your own. It was for your own safety, your own protection. It's too dangerous to be bonded with me." And it's at that point that another of the four suspects gets ruled out because that character walks in. And so you can see Venom and that other character standing side by side. So we now know two characters who it is not. There's two left that it could still be. I think it's Paul.
I will say there is some pretty heavy clues that this Venom is Paul in here. Some visual nods.
Yeah. That's not confirmed though, so
No, it's
don't
not.
think we're spoiling it. That is our own theory, but
Yeah,
that is not.
once again, like you don't learn who Venom is in
Yeah.
this one, and it's still very like this person wasn't in the room. This person is in the room. So
Yeah.
and I do think they give a good reason as to who they ruled out in the last issue because I thought it was a little weird how they ruled it out. And that actually is addressed in this issue
Yeah.
of like, well, here's why we thought this and everything.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I thought this issue was really cool.
Yeah, it's right. I mean, like the artwork is still good, and really that's all there is to say about it because the main story of this series so far is who is Venom. It's not like there's some other big thing going on. Venom's just kind of like swinging around the city, getting involved in random stuff. The main story is who is Venom. So, but yeah, so two people have been ruled out. There are still two left. Again, not spoiling that it's Paul because that's just our own theory. There's nothing in here that
there's nothing even that really like adds him to the roster of possibilities. No. It's just our feelings reading it.
Yeah, it's a guess. Total guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, so if you want to keep ruling out, people, I think it's issue number 5 that we learn who it is.
Yeah.
So next issue is going to rule out somebody else. That'll be number 4, right? Well, I don't know about that because once another person gets ruled out, that means the remaining person.
Yeah. So
unless it is, I don't know.
So next issue is the MODOK issue.
Oh, that's right. We talked about that on Friday, right? MODOK was on the cover.
I think issue 5 is supposed to be the like we are confirming it issue, but we may have a better idea at the end of next issue.
Yeah. So, but yeah, just I love the artwork and the action though. That's what really sells this for me.
That's what I really like too. Is it's a Venom, but it's not in space. It's not anything like this. Is Venom fighting in a warehouse, throwing people around, doing like the big arm thing. Yeah, Carlos Gomez's art in this is fantastic.
So there's our A cover right here. There's a couple cool variants. This is the Camuncoli variant.
It's the N.
Oh, that's right, because they're spelling out Venom. Yeah, that's a connecting variant. Yeah, I keep forgetting about that. This is the Sabatini variant. And I don't know the ratio on this one. Maybe a 1 in 25. This is the Edwin Galman variant that we're selling for $24.99. With Mary Jane on the cover.
Mary Jane not in this issue,
no,
unfortunately.
I wonder why Mary Jane is swinging around with Venom. I don't know.
I don't know. I don't want to know.
I don't want to know, right?
We have a bunch of theories about this book, but that's what I think is so great about it, and what I love in comics is when they can have that kind of water cooler thing where after you read it, you discuss it and be like, "Oh my gosh, what do you think about this?"
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a great selling point of it. Next, I have a new number 1. Another one. This is Mine is a Long and Lonesome Grave, number 1. This is by Justin Jordan and Chris Sheehan. And this is really cool. Justin Jordan does crime books really well. And this isn't as, like, super crime, but it is pretty grounded other than kind of one big element in it. So this follows our main character, Harley Creed, who's been in prison. And we don't know exactly why. I read in like an interview and stuff, it does say like he was kind of a bad guy, but in this you don't really know all the details. But he's out, he's heading home, but it definitely seems like he doesn't really have anyone he's heading home to. And there's some flashbacks and stuff. We know that he had a wife and he has a daughter and a brother. in this small town, but we don't exactly know what happened to everybody. But when he gets there, uh, people definitely, they even says, like, he sees a car pass, he's like, I don't recognize that guy, but he definitely recognizes me and
Mm.
doesn't want me here. His house has been vandalized since he's been gone. He is not wanted in this community. And you do wonder why, and you get some clues to maybe something he did or didn't do or was perceived to have done type thing. But we do learn that this town does have a little underlying bit of magic in it. Not like a big flashy magic, but more like hexes and curses and stuff like that. Because there seems to be something maybe in his family or his wife's family that was somewhat magic involved, and that maybe he is actually really cursed.
Mm.
And he does learn something in here, and it's not a spoiler, it's in the solicitation that uh, he's cursed and has 7 days to break it before
Yeah.
it kills him. But we don't know a whole lot about it. We are kind of learning as we go. But if you like that, almost like, it's a small town, it's this guy's not wanted here, everything. But there is that little, just like thin layer of supernatural on it that I thought was really cool. But yeah, I love Justin Jordan as a writer and as a person, but he's a great writer, and this is really, really cool. So we've got our A cover here, and we've got this variant. This is the Roberts variant, and I will say this does happen in the book.
Oh, nice.
It's not for the person it happens to because they have skin on when it happens.
Oh.
So those are railroad spikes.
Well, Deadpool Wolverine #2. This actually happens in the book as well. It's always cool when whatever's on the cover actually happens. So in this one, I actually don't remember in the first one. I guess that in the first issue, Deadpool set off a big nuclear explosion that is being compared, is basically being hailed as America's Chernobyl. I don't remember that though. But because now there is this big like irradiated area in the country, and almost said it. The bad guy who was revealed at the end of last issue, just in case you haven't read it, I'm not going to tell you who it is.
Superman.
But there is a big there's a big bad guy who's kind of running things, and that character commands Deadpool, who was still under control, who like mind control of the main character. That character commands Deadpool to take these big eggs to that irradiated area that was caused by that nuclear explosion. I put nuclear explosion last year. I meant to put last issue. This radiation causes the eggs to hatch, and they grow into these big, monstrous dinosaur type creatures. But they're not just like straight up dinosaurs. They're like kind of skeletal, but also have muscle structure. They're monstrous, but they look like dinosaurs. And they attack Wolverine. I'm not really sure why they do that, because Wolverine's in a helicopter and he's trying to go find Deadpool, and then like a big pterodactyl looking thing attacks him. I'm not really sure why, but right. But I will say that a good part of the issue is Wolverine fighting these big like pterodactyl dinosaur monster looking things.
Good.
And it's really cool, and then, Deadpool gets in the mix at some point too. So I'm not 100% sure what's going on, but it sure is cool to look at, and I really like all of the action and everything. So yeah. I may need to read it again once it's all collected or something to really I bet it'll make sense then. But anyway, there's your A cover right there, and we have some cool variants. This is the Baren's cover.
The Torch variant?
Yeah. Deadpool with Human Torch powers. We have this Marvel Studios variant. And then there is I think maybe this is a 1 in 10, Alessandro. Is that Capuccio? That doesn't look like Capuccio. No. But we're selling this one for $12.99.
Next up, real quickly want to mention Marvel Mutts #1. This is just a one-shot that collects a lot of the digital first Marvel Mutts stories. This is by Mackenzie Cadenhead, and the art is by Takashi Miyazawa. And there's multiple stories in it. They're only like 1 or 2 pages long. There is some dialogue, but it's not story moving dialogue. It's like, hey, or ah, and stuff like that.
How do you spell that?
You'll have to read it to find out. But this features A lot of Miss Marvel and her new dog Mittens, which is really cute. Also has Lockjaw, Lucky the Pizza Dog, Bats, and Cosmo. Just a lot of fun reading. It won't take you long, but it is kind of thick. So I mean, there's quite a few stories in it. The art is really good. The colors. The first story has Craven the Hunter in it, so it's a lot of fun. Um, you know, nothing world shaking here. But if you just want a really light, cool read, fun for all ages, check out Marvel Mutts.
Well, I've got New Champions #2, and a large part of this issue is the New Champions fighting the zombie Vikings that popped up at the end of last issue. But the New Champions don't have to fight those zombie Vikings alone because Hellrune cast a spell at the end of last issue that basically said, "Bring me the New Champions." And it worked a little bit too well because it brought her the New Champions that we saw in the first issue, plus a bunch of other young heroes. So this issue is actually the first appearance, or maybe the first full appearance, of a lot of new young heroes, but I don't know when and if we'll ever see some of them again. One of them I will tell you is Boy Deadpool, and but it's not Kid Pool.
Okay.
It's Boy Deadpool, and he pops out of out of this port out of the portal, and he says, "First appearance, slab this," And then when he leaves, he's like, "All right, see you later. I'm not sure if I'm even canon anyway." So it's that kind of thing where I'm talking
Yeah.
about like I don't know if we'll ever see him again or not. But there's a lot of other young heroes too. Hulkette from Spider Boy is in this a little bit. Spider Boy himself is in this a little bit, and there's some other young heroes as well. And it's also the first appearance of this character named Magentrix, although it's not for very long. But yeah, so if you're curious about who that is, they do show up in here briefly. But yeah, it's just a whole bunch of young heroes fighting these zombie Vikings and then going about their merry ways. Some may stay on the team, some may not. We'll have to like give it a couple more issues to see, who's stuck basically. But yeah, if you like the first issue, which the first issue pleasantly surprised me, this is pretty cool as well. So we have our A cover right here, and we have this cover by Martinez. I don't remember this. I think it's like Gold Tiger, I believe is her name. I think she might be one of the ones that stays around. I do think this is her first appearance. I'm pretty sure she hasn't showed up anywhere else. Maybe I'm wrong. But yeah, so that's that one. We have this. Okay, so this one's interesting because this is the Derek Chu variant. But if you look on like Previews World, the Derek Chu variant is Magentrix by herself, standing with like kittens and stuff. It's not this cover at
Oh
all.
yeah.
So I don't know what happened with this, but this is the actual cover that is out in stores. And then here is a Romy Jones variant that we're selling for $19.99 with, I believe that character's name is Legacy. So, yeah.
Well, next up, I've got Magik issue number 2. Fantastic cover by J. Scott Campbell. So in this, Magik and Cal Isaacs are on a mission to stop magic seals from being broken and a great evil called Liminal from escaping from his prison. That was all kind of explained in the first issue a little bit. It was a little hazy of like there was a lot going on. And we don't really know where Cal came from or his grandmother, I think that was in the first issue. Um, because Cal's the latest in a line of mages devoted to keeping Liminal away and not being released. In this, the two head to Tokyo for some reason. Magik just kind of says like, "I want to get away."
Yeah, well, I think isn't that where the next like seal
It
is
might
too?
be. I'm not
Yeah,
sure how they know exactly
yeah, I'm
where
not
they.
sure. I do kind of feel like there's an issue in between 1 and 2 that
Yeah,
we missed.
there's some stuff. It
Yeah.
seems like maybe something else happened in Tokyo while they're there. I'm not sure, but they head to Tokyo and they learn from the waitress there that there's a concert that night,
Hmm.
and I wonder if they're going to be putting it on because some people have gone missing lately, and Magic like that sounds like a thing that we should be involved in.
She says this sounds like a job for Magic
Yeah,
and flies away.
yeah, she does that. Very odd. No, uh, there is a weird part that I didn't quite get. The waitress in the coffee shop seems like she's asking Magic out, like, "Do you want to go to the concert, like with me, like a date?" And Magic's like, "No. Oh wait, there's people disappearing. Sure, let's go." And then they kind of go, but the waitress doesn't seem surprised that Magik is a mutant or that they just teleported.
Yeah, and I thought maybe I don't know if maybe the waitress is an existing character.
Don't
I'm
know.
not sure.
And then they kind of just forget about her through
Yeah.
halfway through the issue. Like she's like, "I'm getting out of here,"
Yep.
and it's like, okay, I guess you were just here for information. But uh, they do go to the concert, and definitely something is up because the kind of head act seems to be somewhat of a demon thing, and this leads to some craziness. Um, Magik has been dealing with the Dark Child persona trying to come back out. She's fighting it, but maybe she wants to give into it because that's where her true power
Yeah.
lies. I thought all that was really interesting. Um, but, you know, I thought it was an interesting issue. I'm interested to see where it's going because I'm still not sure about these seals or all of that. There's a very cool, like, final page in this,
Yes.
but I'm not sure how that worked.
Yeah.
Like a character ends up somewhere, and I don't know how that happened. But maybe that'll all be explained in the next one. I did still like this issue. I just have a lot of questions.
Yeah, I remember being really confused after the first issue, and I thought, well, I probably need to read issue number 2, and it'll all make sense. I'm still every bit as
Yeah,
confused after reading issue 2 as I was with number 1.
but Magic's really cool in it. There's some good action at this concert and everything, and I'm gonna be reading issue number 3 to find out what happens. But we've got this great Campbell A cover. We have a great Villalobos variant. I love how bright the
Yeah.
fire is in that. We also have a Mark Brooks animated style variant, which I would love a cartoon with Colossus and Magik, the
Hmm.
the brother sister
Yeah.
crime fighting team. We also have a Peach Momoko design variant that we're selling for $5.99. That might be who's leading the concert.
Hmm.
And we also have a I'm not sure if this is a 1 in 50 or 1 in 25, but it is the Mark Brooks Virgin variant of the animated cover. We're selling for $39.99.
All right, I've got Moon Knight Fist of the Khonshu number 5, and in my opinion, this book and Fantastic Four are the two most underrated Marvel books because this book is awesome. And in this one, Moon Knight and Fairchild, who is kind of like the head bad guy of this story arc so far, he's the one selling the drug whose name I just forgot. But they have a basically a fight like in a boxing ring almost, and it's one of those deals where if I win you stop doing this, if you win I'll stop doing this. So they have this big knockdown drag out fight. It's almost like anime level where Moon Knight gets knocked back and he like slides backwards and everything. Like, it looks really really cool. It's a great fight, and we do learn something about Fairchild, which then makes us think, you know what, Moon Knight may be in over his head.
Mm.
Moon Knight's a great fighter, and he's kind of crazy, and he'll just keep taking punches. Maybe he's in over his head now that we know this new thing about Fairchild. So I cannot wait to see where that goes. And then while all of that's going on, the rest of Moon Knight's crew, Tigra and Hunter's Moon and all those guys, they're just fighting to keep the streets safe because even though the Midnight Mission is out of commission, I didn't mean to make that rhyme. They are still trying to make the streets safe. However, the public doesn't trust them because they have been framed for all these terrible crimes. They're being chased by the cops and all that stuff. So just another great issue of Moon Knight. Like, this is not tied into any. This is its own like singular thing, not concerned with anything else going on in the Marvel universe. But it's so action packed. The artwork, even though Alessandro Capuccio has left to go do Ultimate Wolverine, I can't remember the artist's name, but it still looks great. The action and everything. Like, I recommend this book so much. This is our A cover right here. Oh, and that's the only one. So
Well, I've got a number 2 for Sam Wilson Captain America. This continues this mini series that is very much in time for the movie coming up. So in the first one, we learned about these floating platforms that seem like a perfect place for the underprivileged to build homes and farms and everything, and then get their own land and all of that. Of course, Sam Wilson goes to check it out to realize maybe it's not so much on the up and up, and its head of security is Red Hulk, not Thunderbolt Ross, but the other guy with the mustache.
yeah.
What I did really like about this, the first few pages are just a huge fight between Sam Wilson and the Red Hulk that were really fun. tons of action and throwing each other around, all of that. But Sam does end up getting kind of captured. He meets up with another character in here, which I feel like they're maybe trying to line up the look a little bit closer to what they might appear in a movie that they mentioned on there.
Oh, right. I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, but also, and it was in the solicitation for it, we get Josiah, the Shadow Soldier, arrives, who is really cool. Not doesn't necessarily get along with Sam Wilson too well, but they are gonna all team up to take this place down. But maybe the people there still don't want it to go away. Maybe
Yeah.
they're happy with it. Seems like some weird stuff going on here, but a very action-packed issue at #2 of Sam Wilson, Captain America.
Movie comes out this week.
Yep, we're going.
We're going
I
on
got my
Thursday. Yep.
tickets. So there is your A cover. We have a Kari Randolph variant, nice homage cover. We've got a Chris Allen variant. We have a, I believe this is Torrin Clark. Yep, design variant. We're selling for $5.99. And there is a, I believe this is a 1 in 10 Asrar variant. That's your Bug Wars,
That's your Bug Wars artist, yeah.
We're selling for $12.99.
Well, I've got X-Men number 11. This issue was awesome. There is a small alien vessel, like a small ship, like a little one-man ship that crashes into Earth near the X-Men's base. And I'm not going to tell you who's in it, but that character is being chased by some other aliens that show up on Earth. And really, then the X-Men step in to help. And the rest of it is just the X-Men fighting these aliens. It really kind of felt like X-Men that I read when I was a kid in the 90s. Like, it felt a lot like that. But maybe the aliens that do show up chasing that character, maybe there's another reason why they're there in the first place. Lots of cool action. The artwork continues to be phenomenal in this. Like, it was just a really fun X-Men book. Cyclops calling out orders. Temper, you do this. Magik and Juggernaut, you're with me. Like, all kinds of cool stuff. Yeah, so there's our A cover right there. And we have the Mark Brooks animation. What do they call them again? Animated style variants. Yep.
That Cyclops looks so good.
And this is not a variant for Magik number 2. This is a variant for X-Men number 11. This is by Swaby.
Real quick one.
Oh, wait, my bad. And we've got a variant. There's a 1 in 50 of the Virgin Mark Brooks cover that we're selling for $24.99.
Interrupt me
My
trying
bad.
to talk about my Transformers. This is Transformers number 17. Just briefly want to mention this. It is a great action-packed issue. The Autobots try to save as many people as they can during an attack by the Decepticons on Seattle. So kind of the city's getting bigger and the stakes are getting even bigger. But it seems like maybe people now are kind of learning, like, Optimus Prime might be the good guy. You know,
Oh, okay,
maybe
yeah.
they can start to distinguish the two. But plus, we've got this stuff going on Cybertron with Cliff Jumper. And Cliff Jumper has a very weird invention, and I need to reread it to see if we know like what it is or where he got it from or whatever. But because of this, we are introduced to a first appearance of a character, I know it's a first appearance because it said it in the letters page.
Okay. Letters page of this book always has some nice nuggets of
Please read
information.
the letter pages of the Energon universe books. They are so good. But it's a character that it made it sound like they've been around before, but they might be a all new character.
Yeah, I didn't recognize that.
I googled them. I did not find any results for them, but they are very cool looking, and I'm excited to see what happens there. But yes, so first appearance of a character here on Transformers number 17. Here's your A cover. Here's your Jorge Corona variant with Ultra Magnus, which is in this issue finally. Very excited about that.
He's seen better days.
Yeah, he seems like maybe he's not doing okay. We have a 1 in 10 Carl Kerschel variant we're selling for $8.99. We've got a I think it's a J Anacleto variant. You're selling for $12.99, so 1 in 25. And then there is this.
That's nice.
I am not sure the artist on this one. It would appear to be. Oh, this is the Omer cover. This is a 1 in 50. We're selling for $24.99. Yeah, that other one was AJ Anacleto variant as
well. I've also got Deadpool number 11, and this is part 1 of the Pools of Blood 4-part crossover with Deadpool and Miles Morales. So it's going to jump back and forth for 4 issues between Deadpool and Miles Morales' book. And I do believe this issue is the first appearance of a couple of new characters named Midas and Output. But they don't really do much in this issue. They're only in it for a little bit, but I couldn't find anything else about them, so I do think it's their first appearance. But we do learn who called the hit on Spider-Man, who called up Deadpool and said, "We need you to take out Spider-Man." And Ellie, Deadpool's daughter, she has a real problem taking the job because she knows that Spider-Man is a hero. But to take the job anyway, and at least half of this issue is Deadpool and Ellie fighting Spider-Man, Miles Morales. It's a really cool fight. He has his new vibranium suit, and I like this version of Miles Morales because he's confident and he knows what he's doing, that kind of thing. So yeah, just
and he's not a vampire anymore.
Right. I hopped off Miles Morales a few issues ago, but I do believe he's been cured of that since. I just don't know how it happened. Something to do with Black Panther.
Okay.
And that's where his suit came from. But yeah, Deadpool versus Miles Morales. We're going to get that for 4 issues back and forth between their 2 books. So there's our A cover right there. And we have the Mark Brooks animated style variant. And we have this, shoot, I did not get the, oh, this is Scott Koblish. Right there.
Very briefly, going to mention that Amazing Spider-Man number 67 came out. It's still dealing more with the Sidorak stuff. My only notes for this is it seems like Peter got with Felicia Hardy and is still depressed, so there's definitely something really wrong with him.
Right.
He is truly beyond saving.
Yep.
Also, we've got a lot of the X-Men in this, plus Juggernaut, since they're dealing with the Sidorak stuff, goes against another one of the children of Sidorak. And yeah, it seems like things go from bad to worse, but we don't really know how. Because it seems like everything's already pretty bad, but it seems like it's getting worse at the end. I just don't know how. But yeah, if you want more of Mopey Spider-Man, but
not even Mopey Peter Parker.
Mopey Peter Parker. There is no Spider-Man in this, but it's cool to see the X-Men once again. Like Cyclops is like calling out orders.
Yeah,
you've got your X-Men team in here, so some pretty cool X-Men stuff in that. So that is our A cover.
This really did feel like more of an X-Men book than a Spider-Man book. Yeah.
We also have the Scotty Young variant. I love the frog Venom is very cool. And we have a Akka variant. This is an incentive. I'm gonna guess this is 1 in 25. We're selling for $14.99. Yeah, Spider-Man got that cool new fancy Doctor Doom suit, and he has not worn it, but maybe in 1 or 2.
Yeah, he hasn't worn it in the last couple issues. Yep. Well, just real quick, I wanted to show you Creepshow in Love. Number 1. This is a one-shot, just in time for Valentine's Day. I would have put this way at the top of the show because I love Creepshow, but I did not get a chance to read it. Our Lunar stuff didn't come in until today. But this has 3 different stories instead of Creepshow's usual 2. One of them written and drawn by Mirka Andolfo. One is by Patrick Horvath, who is your creator of Beneath the Trees Where Nobody Sees. And I didn't have the name of the other one, but there's 3 different stories in this. Valentine's Day themed stories, but still horrific and creepy as all get out. So I love Creepshow. Just wanted to tell you that it is out this week. That's the A cover. We have this Mirka Andolfo cover, which looks really cool. And this is the I don't have the name or the artist on this.
It looks like Patrick Horvath too.
Yeah, this may be. But this is our I don't have the ratio. I think it's a 1 in 10 that we're selling for $9.99. Yeah. Don't sugarcoat it. Just tell me,
Yeah.
That's great.
Just briefly want to mention that the final issue of Deadpool Team-Up came out, which I believe is also Rob Liefeld's last Marvel comic.
It is. He has gone scorched earth on Marvel. Yeah.
So, say goodbye to seeing a Rob Liefeld Deadpool or other characters for the foreseeable future. This one's really interesting. It is an all-out battle, which is cool. And Major X does take off his helmet. If you haven't been spoiled about what he looks like underneath, I won't give it away, but it's...
I thought we already saw what he looked like underneath.
It makes me think this is not Major X. I think Deadpool calls him something like General X.
Oh, okay.
He's orange instead of red.
Oh, okay.
But you see who's under the helmet, and that's a fun surprise. So yep, final issue there. We also have a fitting Rob Liefeld Deadpool, just headshot variant as the final cover. And I also did want to mention real quick that Cable Love and Chrome #2 came out. Did not get a chance to read this, but I am looking forward to reading it because I love Cable. But there is your A cover for that. We also have a Tony Daniel variant, which is super cool.
Nice.
And we have a animated style variant, which once again, love to see that show.
Mhm.
And I love Bishop's suave hair in that. He
That's
looks like
that's 90s hairstyle Bishop.
yeah, but even smoother. He's like a Gaston
Oh yeah,
from Beauty and
yeah.
the Beast in that. Do you have any more?
I'm out. I'm out.
Okay, we are out of books. Surprising. There was only a couple this week.
Yeah, told you this was the biggest week of the year
Yeah,
so far.
it was a big
Yeah.
week with a lot of big books, but hopefully you learned a little bit more about everything that's coming out. Of course, there is still more that we didn't even go over that is coming out, but you get a better idea when you head into your comic book store or infinityflux.net about what you're looking for and what you think will pique your interest. Meeting the right person with the right book is what we are here to do. So again, head over to infinityflux.net right now, where you can go ahead and order your books that way. They don't sell out from underneath you, and they will be ready for you on Wednesday.
If you made it all the way to the end with us, because this was a longer episode, let us know which of these books you're most excited for.
Yes, let us know. We would love to see. Definitely check out Bug Wars. Check out One World Under Doom. That was really great. Aquaman #2. Carnage. Great stuff this week. So, until next time.
See ya.
Bye.